Hey there, welcome back to Owl Dragon Adventures. I'm Scott Kegler.
And I'm Rob MacPherson.
And this is my top 10. Before getting into the top 10, I wanted to bring up, which I thought was interesting, is we had set some challenges for ourselves to play a lot of board games this year. And that has had
more than the other.
Yeah. So, in case you don't remember, I plan to play 2022 gameplays in 2022. Pretty much I made that goal as of today, December 11th. I'm at like 2020 right now.
And I made the decision to spend some time with my wife.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. But so a lot of that games, and that's anything from very quick games to still like Cloud Spires and Rising Suns and other heavier games. But what's been great about it is not only playing a lot of games, but it's really forced me to area analyze like what I like out of games and made a huge impact on my top 10. So
sure, yeah.
If you go back and watch last year's top 10, I will tell you right now, this is vastly different for me. There's some that have returned that have probably stayed a little more evergreen.
Yeah, even with my goal of just 365 in the year, I saw a lot of shifts happen.
Yeah, which is good. And we've learned a lot of like where we are with certain mechanics, and that has influenced this video. And I do apologize, I'm coming off of something, so I probably sound
We both just
rough.
got back from PAX.
Yeah.
We were teaching all weekend.
Yeah.
My voice is a little bit back, but
yeah. So it was a lot. But with that, we'll jump into my top 10.
Yep.
And starting off the list, which was actually
just real quick, if you watched last year's video, or even if you didn't, we like to try to guess each other's top 10s.
Right.
So I've got my list in front of me here, and I'll let you know whether or not the game he pulls out is one that was on I guessed or not. I did not try to guess the order.
No. But starting off, we'll go into my number 10. So my number 10 is War Chest by AEG. Nope. It was actually on my list last year as well.
It was.
This still stands up as one of my favorite chess-adjacent games. Oh, yeah. It's not only very fun tactics game, but it is just very pleasing from an auditory standpoint, from the tactile standpoint. It's just with these big poker chips.
It makes my ADHD happy.
With both expansions in here, it is quite heavy. I've deluxified a couple components as well. I have a neoprene mat, everything like that really just makes this a great table presence and a great game. Always happy to get it to the table. So that's War Chest, my number 10. And that will bring me to my number 9. Returning again is Small Samurai Empires.
Got it.
By Arcona Games. It is part of the Small Empires collection. We've played all three. We've discussed them at length on the channel. I think this is really like an unsung hero game. It's just a lot of fun for a action planner. And it's just, we've talked about it before. It's just very graceful setup from northern Japan to southern Japan and back and forth as you do everything in the game. I actually am very excited in 2023. Should be getting the new expansion of the game that I backed with a brand new big rollout of a neoprene map. Because my one complaint with the game is, yes, it is Small Empires, but it is a very small map.
Yes. Yeah.
And the samurai all crowd up on the map.
And as amusing as that is, just a little bit more space.
Yeah, so a little bit more space on that new map, and there's adding some new units and also a solo play, so it'll also be hitting the table more. I just love Small Samurai Empires.
And I'll toss the link down to our Small Empire series that we put out a couple of months ago, so that you can take a look at what we think of all three of the games.
Yeah, this is still my number 1 in that trilogy as well, but they're all very strong. So that's Small Samurai Empires, my number 9. Moving on to my number 8. So this is a little game called Foundations of Rome. This is the lightest game, I think, on my top 10.
Did not guess this one.
It is extremely light. I don't know if I would even like it as much if it wasn't for being probably the most overproduced game I've ever played.
Specifying it is very light gameplay.
Yeah, you could definitely kill somebody with this game. I have them at the top here right now, but it is.
You're an actor, pretend.
So it is such a fun game. The solo is okay, but like I play this one as a light polyomino, fun, picturesque game. By the end, you're building this beautiful setting of Rome.
Yeah, it plays in about 45 minutes. Pretty pretty consistently, even with the expansion modules.
Well, actually, and this game has one of my favorite features of that. Like, there's certain games, there's one other game on my list that, like, has variant rules that are very easily baked into the game. You don't need a ton of expansions because you can just kind of weave in certain variants of the rules. So much fun. Foundations Rome.
We got to play it with Monuments again soon.
Monuments is a lot of fun, but it's just awesome game. I know it's a bit of a price point hike, but I think it is well worth it. One that I would be playing this one for a very long time.
Same.
So that's Foundations Rome, my number 8. Moving on to number 7. My number 7 is Iron Helm by Grey Gnome Games.
Guessed it.
It's actually the only game on my top 10 that is only a solo game.
That does not bode well for the rest of my predictions.
I absolutely adore this game. I got into it early this year from a crowd sale. I've liked his art before. Jason Glover's. I've bought other games. I know it's been a week since the con and I'm still dying.
Oh yeah, no, we're trying to keep our energy up, but we are still burnt.
This is just such a fun dungeon crawl roguelike game. I have everything on it now, and I've played through the campaign many times, but I've played through the entire thing with all the episodes or adventure packs with the same character, which was a lot of fun. I probably played just this year like 50 or 60 games of it. Mm-hmm. Absolutely adore it. It's just exactly what I want when I play like a dungeon crawl game. Like I really like roguelike games, and this helped me kind of solidify that fact this year. If you haven't played it, it's a lot of fun. It's on the Game Crafter, but it's going to take you probably about 30 days to get a copy of it.
Yep, and in fact, I will toss the link to our review on this one down below as well.
Yeah, I just recently did one. So that is
just did.
Iron Helm, probably my favorite of Jason Glover's games, my number 7. Moving on to number 6. My number 6 is Western Legends.
I chose the space version.
Yeah. So this is one of these really fun, easy to get to the table games. It's a little bit of a teach just on the, hey, you have lots of options. It's like an embarrassment of options. Yeah. But what's great about it is it's such a sandbox game where you can basically decide if you want to be a cowboy, a bandit, an outlaw, a marshal, or a gambler, and just do all those things to get your victory points. You could be a prospector, and you can just do all these things, and you can just literally play poker the whole night and have a viable.
And what's fun is that you're actually playing poker because they're multi-purpose cards that are poker cards.
Yeah, it's just such a delight if you like Western settings, and you really just want to be in a Western. Like this game is that sandbox feeling, and it's kind of role play in that way too. Like you're not just having to sit there and like tactically work out like a worker placement game. It's just so much fun. Love the style of the game. I've got a bunch of content coming in from their latest Kickstarter. Very excited to deluxify this game and get it to the table more. So that is Western Legends by Colossal Games, my number 6. Moving on to number 5. My number 5 is Moonrakers. I figured you'd get this one. So I love Moonrakers. It is one of the best games for having negotiation as a feature in the game. I mean, at its core, it's a pretty simple deck builder.
Yeah.
But it's the way that the negotiations are factored into the game, and that it's a game where like if you have somebody at the table is like, no, I don't want to help anybody. It's like, okay, great, you're gonna lose. Right. Like you have to know when to help someone in the game and when to step back. It's such a great game, and again has lots of new content coming out next year. I'm getting all of it. Fun game, very interesting art style. Probably is my favorite game from Ivy Studio. Okay. Yep. Currently, I just can't get enough of this one. Very fun, light, easy to teach because it is a simple deck builder. Just knowing who has the best poker faces at the table.
Sure.
So that is Moonrakers by Ivy Studios, my number
5.
Right. We can add. Right?
Yes, 5. There's 5 on the table, so there's 5 left. So that's the 5th one.
Well, this would be number 6 then, or 5. Right? I can't math much right now, as you can tell.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on to
What's gonna be really embarrassing is that they'll have just seen you say number 5.
I know. It's all good. Moving on to my number 4. Coming in at number 4 and competing for heaviest game on the table against Foundations of Rome, it's close, is Too Many Bones by Chip Theory Games. It is...
I shockingly guessed that one.
Yeah, it is... of the games on the table, it's the one that I enjoy the most as both solo and as a cooperative game, as a multiplayer game. If you haven't played Too Many Bones, it is definitely one of those, I think those game experience, even if you're not into these heavy bespoke games, I think you should play them at least once.
Sure, yeah.
Otherwise, I mean, you don't have to own one, but I think it's, once you get into it, it's very, it's a very polarizing game.
Yeah, I would agree with that, yep.
And I just absolutely love it. Got into this one and played the heck out of it this year. We had a blast playing the Automaton of Shale recently. Yep. So much fun. And another game at this table that has more content coming out next year. So actually, so far I got 1, 2,
in fact, we've got
3, 4, 5 of these games have more content coming out in 2023.
Yep.
So that is Too Many Bones, my number 4. Moving on to number 3. My number 3 is Targi, or Targi.
Got it.
It is one of my favorite worker placement games, and one of my favorite 2-player games. It is a great tableau builder where you are doing this interesting worker placement puzzle, determining which cards you want to take out of the center of the area. I really deluxified the heck out of this one as well through the BGG store, Meeple Source, and the expansion really makes this game, for me, a real complete experience. So if you're looking into worker placement 2-player games, can't recommend Targi enough. That brings me to my number 2. Running out of space, but here is my
see
number.
You back there?
I know.
Check the shot. That's a short joke.
Yeah. Dwellings of Eldervale. This is also an amazing worker placement game. It has so much more going on. It really simulates a area control very well without necessarily being as punchy.
It's in terms of the area control part of it, it's a super light version.
You never really control stuff for very long.
Yeah.
It's more about kind of like setting up your little dwellings, and it's all about the cones. It is.
You know what it reminds me of a little bit in terms of that is the Tiny Epic Mechs. Kind of the way the area control.
Yeah, they're kind of like it's a bit more like it's like a temporary.
Grab,
yeah, but it's really fun. It's like a mid to higher midweight game that really punches above its weight class. It scales really well. Players, I play this at 2 players. I play this solo. We played it 3 or 4 players. It's just fun, and if you like fantasy settings where you can try out all these different factions, there are 16 different factions in the game.
Yep.
And I love that they're all themed to the different elements of Eldervale. So much fun. Easy setup, also kind of like Foundations where you can just hand trays out to people and you're ready to go. Yeah. So absolutely adore Dwellings of Eldervale as my number 2. And that brings me to my number 1 spot. And my final game of the list here, my top 10, my number 1 is Cthulhu Death May Die. I absolutely love this game. This has one of my favorite cinematic experiences, I call it, at the game table. I know co-op's not for everyone, but this game really makes you feel it, makes you feel like the choices matter. It gets tense with the players because it is, if you can achieve victory, it is always at razor thin.
Right.
Last minute. Players are dying all over the place. Yeah. Well, that's the thing.
Close.
We've had games where it's literally come down to just like the last rolling die as it hits, and then you kill the final elder thing. You finish the ritual.
I did my part. So we've never won a game.
That's not true.
We've won one game without me dying. Yeah. And so I took one for the team and I died, and Greg still lost it for us.
We still got really close though in that last game. So it's just so much fun. And again, another thing that I love that is shown really well in this game is it's so modular. You can play different investigators with different episodes, with different monsters, and another game that has an embarrassing amount of new content coming out, which I will be getting all of it.
Just tallying up while you're
excellent. Talking. So yeah, I absolutely love this game. I'm so glad that Simon decided to release more content on it, because it just expands what I already have and it lets me do more gameplay with new investigators and not have to constantly be hunting for this on the secondary market, because I got into this post Kickstarter. Absolutely love Cthulhu Death May Die.
So with that, my ranking or my guesswork was 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10, not bad.
I did not guess that you were going to put Foundations of Rome. I thought it might have been a little bit too light for you. I went with Zaya instead of Western Legend for you, because I know for a little while it had edged it out.
I honestly haven't played Zaya enough. It might still.
That's fair. And then Iron Helm. Not Iron Helm. War Chest.
War Chest. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Iron Helm is in my line of sight.
Yeah, I think Zaya could still get up there. It's I have to play Zaya.
So what you're saying was you have to play it more?
I do. We do have to play it more, and I have to play it solo, because I have the solo stuff, and I just have not played it.
I have it too.
And it looks a lot of fun with the solo mechanics. So that could change. This seems to be right now still my evergreen game. Who knows? Another year, we'll find out. So hopefully you found that interesting. If you have any questions about games that maybe got dropped off the list from last year and why, happy to have that conversation. There are games that you saw in my top 10 that I should play and I don't know if I have. Leave those in the comments.
Yep.
Otherwise, if you enjoyed this, go ahead and like and subscribe, and we'll be putting out Rob's list as well. So make sure you check that out.
Yeah, absolutely. And also keep an eye out for our top 5 solo list that we'll be putting out in some time in this vicinity. I haven't decided the release order yet.
Absolutely. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, and we wish you good luck with all of your future board game adventures.
And thank you for joining us on ours.